Hello everybody, and good Sabbath to you all. This is Sunday. Well, actually it's Monday morning. It's 12:15 in the morning, but Monday morning, that is. And a good Sunday today. It was very, very nice today. Our next chapter that we're going to cover is Isaiah 3. I have been actually thinking of this chapter for well, several days now, but mainly today. It just seems like that everything that came up in church today kind of centered around, some way, around Isaiah 3. I like to call Isaiah 3, it's a great chiasmus, and I'll explain about what a chiasmus is to you in a bit. And then also I like to call this the high fashion, the women's high fashion chapter, because yes, you can tell, how close we are to getting to the second coming by just looking at the women around you and seeing their high fashion. I mean, we see this every single day. I mean, let's just go on AOL right here, and they always have something here, and I'm going to click on this, and that has to do with some woman or whatever in high fashion. And the heels are getting higher, the shoes more expensive, and now, I mean, look at this. That's horrid. But to the world, that is very sexy and acceptable. And let me get off her picture here because that's just terrible. And look at this. Pamela Anderson wears the wildest outfits. If you've been following you now know that women wearing sheer things that you can actually see through, is becoming the norm. And it's just terrible as to what's happening in high fashion. And actually that is a sign of the times, as Isaiah 3 clearly describes in Isaiah 3. Okay, I'm going to be showing you Isaiah 3, but what I'm going to actually be reading from is 2 Nephi 13, which is from the Book of Mormon. And the reason why I'm reading from this is because it predates what's in the Bible by about 100 years. And it hasn't gone through all the editing that the Bible version has, so it's a little bit clearer to understand. And as I go along, you will see some things that are changed or taken away that have been put back to make things more clear using this edition that's actually 100 years older than the one that's used in the Old Testament. And I think you'll agree with me that it actually helps understand Isaiah chapter 3 very well. Also, I'll be using the German version of the Bible, the original one that was printed out on the Gutenberg press, because that also helps clarify some things as well. Okay, so let's delve into this wonderful chapter, Isaiah 3. But the first thing I want to describe is a literary technique known as a chiasmus. Now, this is a writing form in which the author says certain things and then repeats them in reverse order for emphasis. Say, for example, if I say, let me see if I can remember this as I do it now. Mary has a boat, Mary went swimming, Mary drowned. Okay, then I say it another way. Mary died, Mary went in the water, Mary has a recreational vehicle. Okay, so as you can see, the two outer ones, that Mary has a boat and Mary has a recreational vehicle, mean the same thing, but you say it a different way. The second one, Mary went swimming, and what did I say for the other one? Mary went in the water. Okay, those mean the same thing, but it's said a different way. And the middle two, that Mary drowned and Mary died, of course, mean the same thing, but it's said in a different way. And you will find this all throughout the Bible. You will find this all throughout the Book of Mormon. In any scriptural writing, you will find this, and they do this for emphasis. Now, the most important part in there is the middle. Okay, so in the examples that I gave you, that Mary died or that Mary drowned is the most important part of that little passage right there. And the same it is with the scripture. Now, if you want to do something very fun, which I have done before, is that go to the New Testament, and if you can find the exact center of the New Testament, that exact center message should give you the most important part of the New Testament. You know, it's funny how Chiasmus works. You could really get involved on Chiasmus hunting and what it entails. I mean, you find several of this happening in Revelation, throughout the New Testament and Old Testament. Isaiah is heavy with it. You find it in the Book of Mormon as well, just all over the place. So anyway, let's go to Isaiah 6:10, just for the heck of it, to give you an example of a chiasmus here. And let me find this. And excuse me, my computer's going to be a little bit slow because I'm recording this for broadcasting. Okay, make the heart, okay, of this people fat. Okay, so heart is labeled as A. Okay, and their ears heavy. Label ears as B. Okay, and shut their eyes. Label eyes as C. Okay, then you're going to see this in reverse order. Lest they see, okay, with their eyes, there's C right there, and hear with their ears, okay, that's B, and understand with their heart, and of course that's back to A, and convert and be healed. Okay, so as you can see, this is a great little one sentence, you know, one verse chiasmus right here. We go straight from heart, ears, eyes, and then eyes, ears, heart. So this is a simple way of following chiasmus and shows you exactly how it is. Now, if you want to see some really complex ones, I would suggest going to Mosiah 3:18 through 19, and you will pick up on another one that's pretty good there. And let me see if I can show you that. And this is just kind of fun to do. Go chiasmus hunting. And see Mosiah 3:18. Okay, blah, blah. Here we go. Okay. Okay, for behold, he judgeth, and his judgment is just. And the infant perisheth not, that dieth in his infancy. But men drink damnation to their souls, except they humble. Humble would be A. As you see, I've already kind of referenced this all up there. Humble themselves and become as little children, which is B. Okay? And believe that salvation was and is to come in and throughout the atoning blood of Christ, C. For the natural man, D, is an enemy to God, and has been from the fall of Adam, and will be forever and ever, unless he yields to the enticings of the Holy Spirit, and put it off the natural man, which is D, and becometh a saint through the atonement of Christ, C, the Lord, and becometh a child, B, and submissive and humble, A. So you can see the most important part is D, for the natural man right now is an enemy to God, and how do we get back to Heavenly Father? And of course that's through the atoning blood of Jesus Christ. Now if you want to find a really complex one, you might try Alma 36. That one goes on for the entire chapter there and can get really complex, and therefore different chiasmus. And it's really, you know, fun to do this. So you might take this and look for that. Just, you know, just be aware of it, you know, and see what the important part of the message is in the scripture. Okay, so let's go back to Isaiah here. And Okay, very good. For behold, the Lord of hosts doth take away from Jerusalem. And then if you're Chiasmus, honey, that is actually A. And from Judah, the stay or supply and the staff support. The whole staff of bread and the whole staff of water. Okay, so what does this mean right here? Okay, that means in the last days, at some point in time, and this may have already begun, and definitely it has in some lands, but it's probably it's probably going to come worldwide. It's that the Lord is going to pull the props out and take the whole kingdom will collapse. So at that time it was the kingdom of the Jews, and of course we know that Jerusalem definitely collapsed and was captured by Babylon. But also that refers to the last days at all as well. Sorry for my verbiage here. It's late, but I want to get this done because I just can't get it out of my head. So you know, during the last days there will become a time when there is massive worldwide famine and a shortage of water. And of course that's going to, you know, punish the children, you know, on the world because, you know, the majority of people have drifted away from God. They don't know who God is anymore. They don't want anything to do with Him. They won't humble themselves. And so, of course, when that happens, you know, of course, the prophets are removed. And, of course, punishments come. And it will come, definitely. And I think we can start to see that today. Verse 2, the mighty man and the man of war, and if you're keeping Chiasmus hunting, label that as C, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient. Okay, so what this means is that all stable, capable leaders, the mighty men and the men of war, the judge, the prophet, the prudent, and the ancient, that all stable, capable leaders will be gone. And definitely we are seeing that in the world today. The leaders just don't know what to do. They are not capable men. I mean, the great presidents and the leaders are gone. And we are seeing that. And they've been replaced, and we'll get into that, what they've been replaced with. Okay, verse 3, the captain of 50 and the honorable man and the counselor, and this is labeled D in your Chiasmus, and the cunning artificer, which is a skilled craftsman, and the eloquent orator. Okay, so this is saying that all leaders, all craftsmen will be gone. And truly we see that. I mean, you know, the houses and everything that's built today just don't meet the standards that they were long ago. Even though people are supposed to be more skilled, more capable, I'm actually finding that's less and less true. Verse 4, and I will give children unto them to be their princes. Okay, what this is saying is that our leaders, okay, well, let me finish that off. And babes, and this is in your Chiasmus hunting, write this down as E, shall rule over them. Okay, so what this is saying, that our good leaders have been taken away and that we've been giving immature, irresponsible leaders will take over because there are no extraordinary leaders left. You know, the Churchills and the President Kennedy, and some of these you may debate with me, that's fine. You know, they are gone. And what we're left is immature people, you know, because they don't follow the Lord, and so they're completely immature, concerned about their own sins, and want to protect that. And that's what we're left with. Verse 5, and the people shall be oppressed, and this is F in your Chiasmus honey, everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient. And again, that's E, back to E. And the base against the honorable. So what this is saying is that anarchy, okay, and the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another. And we're definitely see that. Anarchy, gangs, citizens against citizens, etc. are the law. I have a friend who's in, I can't think of the country that she's in, Serbia. and she just tells me flat out that anarchy rules Serbia. And, you know, that's very true in many, many places of the world. Citizens against citizens, etc. We're seeing this highly in the Mideast and everywhere else, that people are fighting people. Okay. And then we're also seeing and the base, which means rude, crude people against the honorable, so no respect for authority. And we definitely see that all the time. There's an incident lately involved here in the United States, a woman bus driver. She's an elderly person. She drives the bus for school children, and these middle school aged children just verbally attacked her. And of course this was caught on film, and it was shown, you know, of course, to the parents, and then someone uploaded this to YouTube, and of course it caught the public eye, and of course the students that were involved with this were expelled for an entire school year from school. So, you know, this is happening everywhere. There was a guy in church today who also drives a bus, and, you know, they have cameras in the bus so they can see what's going on in case something happens. And so one kid came up here to him recently and just verbally abused him as well. And of course this was caught on camera, which also has an audio feed, and of course they play this to the parents, etc. And of course this student was also expelled from school for an entire school year. So it's just amazing to me. When I was a kid, I never would have thought of talking back to the bus driver. No way. And today it's just standard. It's just norm, and it's just horrible how the world is getting today. Okay, so next Isaiah describes how bad things will get when the stable society crumbles. Yeah, just what you need to hear, huh? 6. When a man shall take hold of his brother or the house of the father, and shall say, Thou hast clothing, be our ruler. Okay, and that's Chiasmus D. And let not this ruin come under thy hand. So he's saying, don't let this happen to us. You've got halfway decent clothing. You be our leader. So isn't this remarkable that someone that just has halfway decent clothing, you looked at him for respect and says, you lead us, you know, you've got some good clothing. So you leaders. Okay, so what does he say? Okay, verse 7, in that day shall he swear or protest, saying, and this is Chiasmus C, I will not be a leader. So he says, I can't lead or defend and protect you, for in my house there is neither bread, which is Chiasmus B, nor clothing. So he's saying, look, I can't lead you. I've got my own problems. Make me not a ruler of the people. Okay, and I think we definitely can see this too. People are looking for someone to look up to, and those who they look up to are going, man, I can't do it. I've got enough problems of my own. And we see that all the time. Next, Isaiah describes the end result of a society that allows open evil and wickedness. And this is back to Chiasmus A. For Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen, because their tongues and their doings have been against the Lord to provoke the eyes of his glory. Which is saying, in word and actions, the people are completely against the Lord. And doesn't that describe today's society all over the world? People are against the Lord. I mean, here, you know, they're passing laws for same-sex marriage. You know, that's completely against everything that the Lord stands for. And so, of course, they're passing laws and approving this to try and make it okay to do. But, you know, it doesn't matter what they do, it's still against the Lord. Verse 9, the show of their countenance doth witness against them. Okay? So they even, what it says is the show of their countenance doth witness against them. He says they even look wicked. You know, their countenance looks evil. And you have to say that. I mean, you can tell people, you know, are evil because they look, I mean, look at all the people with all these horrendous tattoos or these weird colored hair and hairdos, wearing these outrageous clothes. You know, so they look evil when you look at them. I mean, isn't it amazing that, you know, the further and further that you get away from the Lord, that the more tattoos, that the tattoos start, The weird hairdos, the weird fashions start, that you dress completely inappropriately and immodestly the further away that you get from the Lord. I mean, you can tell that today. Okay, let's go ahead. And doth declare their sin to be even as Sodom. Okay, so Sodom, what are we talking about? We're talking about homosexuality. See Genesis 19, footnote 5a. Okay, that they're wicked through and through, including homosexuality. Okay, and they cannot hide it. Okay, so this is a blatant sin. It can't be rationalized away or hidden from God. They can't hide it. People are coming out, displaying their sexual attributes on the street, saying, oh, this is great. This is the way we're made. No, it's not the way you're made at all. This is something that you have picked out. You know it's against the Lord and everything that He stands for, but you're blatant about it and displaying it on the street and everything. Okay, woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. So it's saying, okay, well, they're getting what they deserve, or at least they will when the Lord comes again. So far, this chapter is pretty dismal, you've got to admit. In order to make sure that the righteous do not despair who are trying to survive spiritually and otherwise in such a society, the Lord assures them that they will ultimately be rewarded for their righteousness. So for those of you who love the Lord and obey the commandments, don't despair. You will be rewarded as soon as your test is over. I mean, that's why we're here on earth, is to be tested. Verse 10, saying to the righteous that it is well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, for they shall perish, for the reward of their hands shall be upon them. Why, so the old saying, as you sow, so shall you reap. Okay. So Isaiah continues to describe the end results of such uncontrolled wickedness throughout the Jews and, of course, the world. This, of course, applies to any nation, any time in history, anywhere. So even though he's talking about the Jews back then, around 600 BC, he is talking to us today as well. Verse 12, and my people, children, he's talking about immature leaders, are their oppressors. So immature leaders are the oppressors, and we've got to say that today. I mean, look at the worldwide economy. People that are immature, it's all about greed, how much money that they can get. They're like little children going, me, 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 I want it, I want it, I want it. Okay, that's what we're talking about. And women rule over them. So this is the breakdown. Now this doesn't mean that women will rule over us, but this is the breakdown of the traditional family. Men are becoming weak leaders. I mean, men, you should be out there, you should hold the priesthood, you should study scriptures in your family, you should have family prayer and personal prayer, family home evening every Monday night. And I'm not just talking about the saints of God, I am talking to the entire whole world. Men, this is what you should be doing. But instead, I bet a lot of you are watching Monday Night Football, going out and playing with a girlfriend, even though you're married. It's just horrendous what people are doing out there. O my people, they who lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. Okay, which is saying leadership without basic gospel values causes terrible damage, and we can definitely see that today. Even the President of the United States, he does not, no matter what he professes, you can tell from his actions that he is without basic gospel values, and he is causing terrible damage to the entire country. And this is true with probably every nation in the world right now. Okay, so next Isaiah will take the wicked leaders of the Jews to task for selfishly taking all they possibly can from the very people they are supposed to protect as leaders. Now, isn't that true today? Greed has taken over. It's all about money. How much money can I get? I never have enough, and it's just endless. Verse 13, the Lord standeth up to plead. Okay, in Hebrew, the correct translation is contend, or you are in big trouble. Okay, so the Lord says you are in big trouble and standeth to judge the people. Verse 14, the Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients, which is the wicked leaders and elders of his people, and princes, which is our princes, which are leaders thereof, for they have eaten up the vineyard. Okay, you have ruined, destroyed the country. Okay, what she's saying. You've ruined your country. And the spoil of the poor in your houses. Okay, you have all kinds of loot in your houses, which you have taken from the poor. You were supposed to protect them, but instead you ruined them. Corporate leaders, CEOs out there, bank presidents, Wall Street people, you are all guilty of greed. Senators, congressmen, President of the United States, you are all guilty of greed, and you know that. Maybe you don't realize it, but you are. You are taking money right out of the poor, and you're continuing to do it, just like the old kings of old that taxed their people to death. And recently I referred to the city of Ammonihah, I should say, and how the king took everything for himself. Verse 15, what mean ye? Okay, what have you got to say for yourselves? Okay, you beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, which means you're just pushing the poor farther into poverty, regardless of how you say that you're trying to help them. We can see this all over the world. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and that divide between the two is getting even wider than it ever has before in the history of mankind. Okay, saith the Lord of hosts. So the Lord knows what you're doing. Okay, he's asking, what have you got to say for yourselves about this? Okay, now Isaiah now shows what happens when women get as wicked as men, and points out that when this happens, society is doomed, as pointed out in verses 25-26. And I haven't changed your screen, and I apologize for that. Okay. Verse 16. And this is why I say this is the high fashion chapter of Isaiah, because you can truly see how close we are getting to the second coming just by watching women's fashions. And they may seem weird, but stick with me here. Okay, 16, let me back up a little bit. Okay. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, okay, which is full of wicked pride, and walk with stretched forth necks, which is pride, and wanton or lustful eyes, walking and mincing, okay, and walking and mincing, what that means is short, rapid steps. When do women take short, rapid steps? Think about it. When they're wearing those ridiculously high heels, okay? If you watch them walk, they are taking short, rapid steps. So as you can see, even Isaiah saw for the future here our women in those high heels. And that is a sign of the time. Okay, just continue reading. As they go and making a tinkling in their feet. Okay, now the German Bible says this is wearing expensive shoes so people will notice them. Okay, do women get noticed when they're wearing their very high heels? You bet they do. Okay, and you can see that there are all sorts of colors now. They're even starting to pad under the base part of the shoe so they can make the heels higher, and bright reds and just all sorts of stuff so they will get noticed. So women, beware. Isaiah 3 verse 16, this is you, and if this is what you're doing, get out of it. I'm sure your feet will appreciate it. Verse 17, therefore, okay, for these reasons, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head. Okay, in the German Bible, this says, make them bald. Okay, so perhaps the scab is a result of being shaved slaves. The daughters of Zion and the Lord will discover their secret parts, okay? And that's not talking your secret bodily parts. I mean, heaven knows the Lord made us. There's no secret bodily parts that he doesn't know about. But what this means is to expose their evil deeds. Okay. In verse 17, Isaiah prophesied that the Lord's covenant people would go into captivity because of their wickedness. I mean, when we go into wickedness, we are actually selling our souls to Satan, and we become captive. Okay, so onward, he describes the taking away of all that has been precious in the hearts and minds of the women who have become wicked in Isaiah's day. The same scene is typical of any society whose morals and values decay, and you can definitely see that in today's world. It's all around you. Verse 18, in that day the Lord will take away the bravery. Okay, in the German Bible, this translates to decoration or beauty of their tinkling ornaments, and again this means in the German Bible expensive shoes, and calls and round tires like the moon. Okay, now these are female ornamentations representing high status in a materialistic society. So what this is saying is that that day the Lord will take away your decorations and beauty. He will take away your expensive shoes and female ornamentations representing high status in materialistic society. Okay, so we can see that he hasn't taken that away. That will probably come a little bit later. However, we definitely see that that is coming, that is happening with high fashion today. You can definitely see that. Verse 19, the chains or necklaces of the bracelets and the mufflers, which is the veils. Verse 20, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs. We definitely see that in the headbands and tablets in the German Bible. That's musk boxes and perfume boxes and the earrings. And we see that today definitely. The rings and nose jewels, 21. I mean, that's getting even more prevalent today. 22, the changeable suits. Let me change your screen up here. The changeable suits of apparel, and the German Bible says party clothes. Okay, so the party clothes and the mantles, and that's gowns or robes, and the wimples. Okay, that is a medieval women's head covering. And do we have head coverings today? You bet we do. And crisping pins. Okay, those are money purses. Crisping pins was used to keep the money together. 23, the glasses. Okay, now some people think, is this my eyeglasses? No, absolutely not. This refers to mirrors in the German Bible and Hebrew. I like this one because it's more descriptive as to what it is today. In Hebrew, this means see-through clothing. Okay, and yeah, this has recently become a major fad in high society, is to wear see-through clothing. So this, verse 23, has come to pass recently, and I would say in the past month or two, maybe a little bit before that. But this is something that has recently come true. Okay, and it's continuing. The fine linen and hoods, which are turbans and veils. Okay, as indicated, Isaiah's described female high society fashions, and as I've been saying, just look at People magazine, just look at the women that walk down the red carpet at these award shows, and you see that. Okay, arrogance, sexual immorality, and materialism in terms of such things in his day. Next, Isaiah prophetically describes the end result of such wickedness for these women, and literally and symbolically for Jerusalem and the kingdom of Judah, verse 24. And it shall come to pass, instead of sweet smell, okay, or perfumes, there shall be stink, and the stink will come from the corpses of people killed by invading armies, also the stench associated with miserable slavery conditions. And instead of girdle, which means a nice waistband, a rent, which means rags, and so instead of a nice waistband, nice clothing, you will have rags. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. Okay, slaves are shaved heads. And instead of stomacher, which is a robe, a nice robe, a girdling of sackcloth, which is and branding or mark of slavery instead of beauty. Okay, so it doesn't bode well for these women of high fashion that somehow will lose their support lose their money, and instead of dressing in high fashion, they will be forced to wear rags at the time. Will it be an economic collapse, even worse than we have today? Who knows? Will it be war? Could possibly be. Who knows? But this is coming. But we can see that the women are in high fashion mode right now, and getting ever more like that. Many women of the high fashion part who are not seeking the Lord, but at some point in time they will be hopefully humbled by the rags that they will have to wear. Okay, so in these verses, Isaiah spoke of shaved heads, which is symbolically represents slavery or bondage. Not saying that there will be slavery or whatever, but be bondage of some type. Maybe this is slavery and bondage to their financial circumstances, probably. So let's go on. Literally, conquering armies often kept the best captives who would bring a good price in the slave markets back home, and they shaved the hair off these slaves for 3 basic reasons. Number 1 is humiliation. Okay, you shave the hair off a woman and you don't think she's going to be humiliated by it. 2, identification. Okay, a shaved head of a woman makes it much easier to spot a runaway slave, wouldn't you say? And 3, sanitation. You don't have to worry about lice or anything like that when the head is shaved. Okay. 25, thy men shall fall by the sword and the mighty in war. Okay, so it's saying that wars will deplete your male population. And definitely we see that today. Some places in the world more than others, but we are definitely seeing this, that is happening. 26, and her, which is Jerusalem, gates shall lament and mourn, and shall be desolate, which means empty or cleaned out, and shall sit upon the ground. So Jerusalem, symbolic of the wicked, will be brought down completely and conquered. One fulfillment of this prophecy, of course, was the Babylonian captivity, which ended about 587 BC. Now I want to go on to the next verse, because actually verse 1 should be in Isaiah 3. Okay. Yeah, and for some reason that was started as chapter 4. I don't know, but it's plain when you read this that this should be the end of Isaiah 3 instead of the beginning of Isaiah 4. Now the Joseph Smith translation, the Hebrew Bible, and the German Bible, all 3 of them put this verse at the end of Isaiah chapter 3 in the Bible. This also, that's the way it should be. I don't know why in the current Bible it is like it is, but all previous versions of the Bible put this at the end. Okay, so let's go over that. In that day, and this is referred to in chapter 13, 25, 26, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. So what they are saying is, we will pay our own way. Only let us be called by thy name. So please marry us. We will buy food. We will buy clothing. You don't have to support us at all. Just please marry us so that we can take your name. Okay, to take away our reproach. And that's the stigma of being unmarried and childless. Okay, that day hasn't quite come yet, but that day is coming. And for you men that go, oh man, we're going to have multiple wives and stuff like that. No, that's not the reason behind that. So yeah, guys, get your head out of the gutter. That's not what this is referring to. Okay, so I want to thank you for being with me today as we cover Isaiah 3, which I call the women's high fashion prophecy. And definitely watch the fashions. And the scarier that they get, the closer that we are to the second coming of the Lord. Thank you for being with me today, and next time we shall cover Isaiah 4. So have a good day.